Welcome to In Depth for a look at what is making mining headlines in the Americas. As Japan fought desperately to avoid nuclear disaster at plants hit by the recent quake and tsunami, investors have rushed out of uranium stocks, betting that the nuclear renaissance will be stillborn. Mine Weekly's contributing editor for North America, Matthew Hill, who is based in Toronto, Canada, joins me to discuss this issue. Welcome to the show, Matthew.
Hi, Martin.
Matthew, has the Japanese nuclear crisis sounded the death knell for the nuclear industry?
Well, it certainly damaged its reputation, which it had struggled to build over the past couple of decades since the Chernobyl incident, as well as 3 Mile Island. I don't think that you can say that it's going to kill the industry completely, but it really depends on how well Japan responds to the crisis over the coming days and whether they prevent a full-blown nuclear catastrophe.
We have seen uranium prices tumble and billions of dollars wiped off the market capitalizations of producers. Is this an overreaction?
Yeah, many analysts and uranium company executives seem to think so. Stocks certainly did take a beating immediately after the quake on the Monday and Tuesday. And the uranium spot price also fell around 10% to $60 a pound. But I think that what you'll find is when the dust settles, assuming that the Japanese do take control of the situation and prevent a full-blown nuclear catastrophe, that both uranium stocks as well as the uranium spot price will certainly recover at least some of their lost ground.
How have governments around the world responded?
Well, we've already seen countries like China, India, Germany say that they are taking measures to make sure that their nuclear plants are safe, both current and future. The thing is, while China might be conducting a complete review of its nuclear safety measures, the plants that it plans to build, and it's already building about 24 new reactors, the country desperately needs power. And in a world where carbon emissions have to be cut, certainly places like China and India, where the bulk of the new nuclear build is happening, will definitely have to look at nuclear power.
And finally, what happens from now?
Well, I suppose that's also another difficult question. Executives at uranium companies the world over are certainly watching the situation very closely, because this is the biggest threat to their business in the past couple of decades. Thing is, China will most likely continue building the nuclear reactors that it said that it was going to. Remember that China isn't a democracy, so anti-nuclear protests there won't have as big an impact as they would elsewhere in the world. And China is, as I said, a major proponent of the nuclear renaissance. But I suppose at the end of the day, if you swap the first 2 letters of the word nuclear, you get a pretty good picture of what's likely to happen next.
Thanks, Matthew, for joining me. That's the show for today. Join us again next week for more news and insight on mining in the Americas. I'm Martin Joaquinho for Crema Media in Johannesburg.
For 30 years, Crema Media's engineering news has delivered unmatched insight into South Africa's real economy. Subscribe now and go to engineeringnews.co.za for the real economy in real time. Engineering news, not just for engineers.